Pardo. I'd like to start off with a quote that I've been told for many years from my father. Mark Twain once said, "Your true pilot cares nothing about anything on earth but the river, and his pride in his occupation surpasses the pride of kings." Now, when most people hear about towboating, they think about tubing behind a boat on a lake, which is nothing compared to what towboating is. A towboat is a regular boat that is pushing a barge, and a barge, to get a sense of size, is about half a football field long and about a third of a football field wide, and they're used on the Mississippi and the Ohio River, or any other river really around the United States that can handle the size of the boats. I grew up down the river, so I've always known about towboats. They've always been in my life, and I started recently learning how to pilot them. Through history, purpose, and personal experience, towboating is an important part of the agricultural and economic community that few people are knowledgeable about. Now let's look at the history of the towboat. Steamboats were used in around 1850 to start pushing loads of like coal and grain to get other places before railroads were really popular. Sternwheelers were the first towboats. Sternwheelers are basically a boat that have the big paddles on the back that just rotate, and they use the steam engine. It took its real identity in 1860 when it was classified as a real boat, and by 1900 barges were carrying around 19 million tons of freight per year. But around the 20th century it started to fall to the railroads. They failed competitively to the railways, and the amount of cargo dropped because of that. In 1970, the U.S. Shipping Board got around $3 million to improve safer waterways for the towboats, and also to make the towboats safer. You know, take away the steam engine that had the tendency to blow up and kill everybody. And then modern day, there has been a lot of improvements since then. They have to be up to Coast Guard regulations, and in general just makes it safer, and then the barges can also push a lot more grain than they could back then. Now that we've learned about the history, let's look at its general purpose. Shipping starts up in Minneapolis. That is the farthest you can go up the Mississippi with the towboats, and then it ends in New Orleans. And along the way you can drop off and pick up different types of grain. The second is costs. One semi truck, like the beat trucks that go around here, can carry around 40 tons of grain, and the time to get places takes a long time through traffic and different various weather conditions. 1 ton equals 60 miles on a gallon. And by towboat, one barge can carry 1,500 tons. The time to get places is reduced greatly because there's only one path and very little roadblocks ahead of it. As Wilkerson states, the river is so vast, sometimes the boats will have the water completely to themselves. Now, when I said the 1 ton gets 60 miles on a gallon for a semi-truck, a towboat can get 500 miles on a gallon, which is a great difference between the two. And I chose this topic because, like I said earlier, I grew up down on the river, and my parents both worked down there, so it was just kind of natural for me to kind of run around and be all around the boats. I started working on the river around 7th grade, working maintenance and, you know, fine-tuning the boats and cleaning them and learning a lot about them. And then last year I became a crew chief, so I tie up the boats and do the general maintenance, where I also started to learn how to pilot them, which is a completely different experience that scares you, especially when you have passengers on board. In conclusion, the use of waterways for transport is fast and efficient, and it's a cleaner and more reliable source of transport.